first scripture reading is from Micah chapter 6, verses 1 to 8. Hear what the Lord says. Rise, plead your case before the mountains, and let the hills hear your voice. Hear, you mountains, the controversy of the Lord, and you enduring foundations of the earth. For the Lord has a controversy with his people, and he will contend with Israel. O my people, what have I done to you? In what have I wearied you? Answer me, for I brought you up from the land of Egypt, and redeemed you from the house of slavery. And I sent before you Moses, Aaron, and Miriam. O my people, remember now what King Balak of Moab devised, what Balaam, son of Beor, answered him, and what happened from Shechem to Gilgal, that you may know the saving acts of the Lord. With what I shall come before the Lord, and bow myself before God on high. Shall I come before him with burnt offerings, with calves a year old? Will the Lord be pleased with thousands of rams, with 10,000s of rivers of oil? Shall I give my firstborn for my transgression, the fruit of my body for the sin of my soul? He has told you, O mortal, what is good, and what does the Lord require of you, but to do justice, and to love kindness, and to walk humbly with your God. This is the word of God.
Thanks be to God.
The next scripture reading this morning comes from the Gospel according to Matthew, chapter 4, verse 23 to chapter 5, verse 12. Jesus went throughout Galilee, teaching in the synagogues and proclaiming the good news of the kingdom and curing every disease and every sickness among the people. And so his fame spread throughout all of Syria, and they brought to him all the sick, those who were afflicted with various diseases and pains, demoniacs, epileptics, and paralytics, and he cured them all. And great crowds followed him from Galilee, the Decapolis, from Jerusalem, from Judea, and from beyond the Jordan. When Jesus saw the crowds, he went up the mountain. And after he sat down, his disciples came to him, and then he began to speak, and he taught them, saying, Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. And blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. And blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will receive mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called the children of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when people revile you and persecute you and say all kinds of evil against you falsely on my account. Rejoice and be glad, for your reward is great in heaven. From the same way they persecuted the prophets who were before you. This is the word of God.
Thanks be to God.
Let's pray. Holy One, giver of all light, lift up our hearts to Christ, the morning star that never fades. By the light of your Holy Spirit, reveal to us your saving word and lead us to offer our lives to you in love and service. Amen. Hashtag blessed. Have you seen it before? It may have started on social media, but today you can find it on wall hangings, on throw pillows. I've seen it on coffee mugs, right? If you search your Facebook or Twitter or Instagram feed using hashtag blessed, you're likely to come up with lots of examples. Yeah? Do you know what a hashtag is? So on social media, yeah, it is the tic-tac-toe. Excellent. This is a way, if you post a picture or a comment and you put this in, hashtag blessed, somebody could search and see everybody who feels hashtag blessed. And in fact, I did that this morning. The most hashtag blessed on my Facebook feed come from Devin Dickinson, Scott and Jen's daughter-in-law. Often when she's posting a picture of 3 generations of a family together, hashtag blessed. This morning I also saw a classmate from seminary who was enjoying a river cruise on the Seine with her fiance, hashtag blessed. And also my cousin, posting about the benefits of working from home for the multi-level marketing company she sells toothpaste for, hashtag blessed. This week's gospel reading is known as the Beatitudes. Beatitude simply means being in a state of blessedness. And in it, Jesus talks all about who is hashtag blessed. If Jesus were here now giving this Sermon on the Mount, maybe instead of crowds stopping to listen to him yell from the side of a mountain, his message might take the form of a post surrounded by digital crowds on social media platforms, where he might put up memes or images of people representing these values, all tagged hashtag blessed. Who and what would Jesus call hashtag blessed today? And what does this mean for us? What should Jesus' words inspire us to do now? Well, let's take a look. Blessed can be an odd or difficult word to try to translate from Greek. The Greek word is makarios, in case you were wondering. And Dave's nodding his head. In the Greco-Roman cultural context, the idea of makarios, of being blessed, had kind of a communal sense to it, relating to honor. Right? This particular culture had an honor and shame system. These were the most important currency, even more important in some ways than money. If you were shamed, there wasn't much that could be done for you. But if you could increase your honor, it meant a lot. Pastors have struggled with kind of how to communicate this meaning of being blessed, especially in the Beatitudes. We've tried things like happy are the meek, happy are the merciful. But that's not really quite it, right? That's merely a personal feeling. It's something more communal, makarios. It needs something that's more like highly honored or even enviable. And even though we no longer have a society that's constructed around ideas of honor and shame, the way that we use blessed, especially as a social media hashtag, I think functions in a surprisingly similar way. We use it to mark the kinds of experiences that we value, and at the same time, its absence shows the kinds of experiences that we would try to avoid, right? Hashtag blessed is a way to share things that we think are most important, and that also can serve to make clear to others what is missing from their lives. It's pretty clear the kinds of things we value if you were to do a little search, hashtag blessed on your favorite social media platform. Success, whether it's personal, professional, or family. Opportunities to travel, new experiences, major purchases, a home or a car. Often hashtag blessed can be a real reflection just of privilege. And maybe it's a way we try to make ourselves comfortable with it by just chalking it all up to blessing. So what would Jesus endorse with this hashtag? Speaking to the crowd that had been following him from all over, having gotten up the side of that mountain a little bit so that people could hear him talk, Jesus began to show where his and God's values actually lie. Blessed, Jesus said, are the poor in spirit, the mourners, the meek, those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, the merciful, the pure in heart, the peacemakers, and those who are persecuted for the sake of justice. Now notice, he leaves out those vacationing in Paris, those who just bought a new house or car, those who have found some level of personal comfort or achievement. And instead, he names the very people who have gathered to hear him talk. There's no social media influencer in this crowd. This is the poor, the meek, those who mourn. Those are the people who have been desperate enough to seek out what must have seemed such a long shot, a rabbi from Nowheresville who they heard might be able to heal the things that were hurting them. Although none of us can escape grief in our personal lives, the people in that crowd with Jesus knew mourning on a particularly deep level. They were among those most oppressed by Rome, most heavily taxed and exploited. And they knew the mourning that came after a child died of a preventable sickness that was complicated by a lifetime of malnutrition. They knew the grief of watching as their friends and neighbors who tried to stand up to tax collectors and governors were brutally murdered, sometimes crucified. We all know grief in our lives, but some of us, because of the color of our skin or sexuality or gender, some of us feel the tender vulnerability of our own safety, our own lives on a deeper, daily basis. Samaria Rice lost her 12-year-old child, Tamir, in Cleveland in 2014. He was killed by police who mistook his toy gun for a real one, who mistook this child for a threat. And we all grieve the loss of a child, but the other poor brown children of Tamir's neighborhood also mourned the loss of their safety, their place to play, their own childhoods. Samaria is now building a cultural healing center in Cleveland in memory of her child, hoping to use this terrible event to make change. Were Jesus giving the Sermon on the Mount today, the Beatitudes via Twitter, he might post a picture of Samaria Rice with the hashtag blessed are those who mourn. Or maybe because it's the Super Bowl today, and Jesus' social media game probably would be on point, he would post a picture of Colin Kaepernick. Kaepernick, of course, was the quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers the last time they were in the Super Bowl in 2013. But today he won't be playing. In fact, he hasn't played for years, because of a choice he took to take a knee during the national anthem of a game in 2016, an action he described as a respectful and peaceful protest of unchecked episodes of violence against people of color in our country. This step he took in the name of justice and righteousness cost him his career in the sport he loved and trained for, making him one of the most hated people in football. Hashtag blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake. Who are the people that we want to be like? What are the kind of lives that we emulate? Are they people like Samaria, like Colin? Are they people like the judge Marcia Mori, who in South Carolina advocated to change the laws so that 16 and 17-year-old children would not be sent to juvenile detention, but instead receive support, job training? Who waived legal fees in 30% of cases to not put an undue burden on poor folks, and as a result, had to deal with people calling her soft on crime? Hashtag blessed are the merciful. Or would any of us say we want to be like the people who are so hungry and thirsty, so famished and parched for righteous community, for safe home and provision for our families, that they've come to the southern border of our country only to be torn from their children and denied entry? Do we emulate the protesters in Hong Kong who put their bodies on the line week after week seeking a fair government? Like Ruth Bader Ginsburg, are we hoping to just never retire, continuing to pull ourselves back from illness to serve? Hashtag blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. Then or now, Jesus' Beatitudes worked on two different levels. The first as a word of comfort to those that society had looked down on. So hear that today. If your family isn't perfect, if your life doesn't come full of moments that make people jealous, if you're not feeling successful in the ways that we've been taught to value, Jesus calls you blessed. You think about it like tattooed on your forehead, maybe? Each of us. But second of all, the Beatitudes were also instructions on how to orient our lives on what is worthy of our time, our energy, our respect, and our value. Maybe more of us, I don't know, would be willing to let our grief show or put in the hard work of making peace or even be persecuted for doing the right thing if it was something that we could brag about on social media. Maybe. Instead of seeking all those likes from friends, though, there is one really important thumbs up that is waiting for us from Jesus, whose values have always turned things upside down. So as we think about the kinds of things we value in our lives, the kinds of people we look up to, and the things we try to avoid, we have to ask ourselves whose metrics we're using. Is it a measuring tape based on the enviable qualities and experiences of capitalist America in 2020? Or is our measuring tape based in what Jesus honors most? The meek and poor in spirit, the experience of mourning, the gift of mercy, having pure intentions in our hearts, working for real peace and sometimes getting in trouble. Whether we have lived lives that have always come short of the kind of markers that our friends are posting online, or whether we have found security and hope in the achievements that our culture values the most, Jesus calls us again today to turn all of these things upside down, to value the things that we have learned to avoid, and to question the things that make us feel like we made it, to think about who we want to be like, about what we truly believe to be #